6 races down in the inaugural One-Up Modified Motor Tour season, 6 races to go, and the second half of the season kicks off here at the Elko Speedway in Minnesota. This 3/8 mile oval has seen plenty of action over the years from various forms of racing, and now it's the Modified Motor Tour's time to shine under the lights here at Elko for 100 laps tonight. And alongside me in the booth to get you settled in for tonight's racing action is James Ellison with us this week for some modified racing action. And looking at the points as they run right now, it looks to be a 2-horse race between the Phantom Fury Motorsports teammates. But as we've seen throughout over the course of our time watching one-up races, that nothing is guaranteed and those lurking behind can easily catch up.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I said, we've seen different drivers come through and have victories. I mean, in Incendia Motorsports, both their drivers have victories this year. I mean, yeah, granted, consistency is just as important as winning races. And, Blevins is our points leader is no stranger to that. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what this second half of this inaugural season can bring.
And especially when you consider that Blevins has been a model of consistency. He's got the best average finish this season. And his teammate, Nicolas Santiago, he's the only driver with top 10s in every race this season. So those two are going to be forces to contend with. However, Blevins starts all the way back in 11th for this race, with Santiago starting deep in the field today, down in 21st place. But with that being said, we can now bring you the starting lineup for tonight's 100 laps of action, and it's Christian Van Heerden in the 98 for Victor Reyes' team. He's the first driver this season to get 2 pole positions, and he will lead them to the green alongside the British driver Chase James in the 49. We've got a North Pro Motorsport all row 2 with Jack Davis and Seth Bayless in row 2, and Reyes himself, Victor Reyes, Van Heerden's teammate, completing the top 5. But the focus has to be on Blevins and on Santiago for at least the start of the race, because these two are going to have a lot of work to do to dig themselves out of the hole they've put themselves in qualifying. However, the last time we saw Ashton Blevins start 11th for a race, he brought it home in the runners-up spot.
Yeah, that was quite the charge there. Can he do it again is the question. Good. But, for being that far ahead as Blevins and Santiago are, I would definitely say don't completely count out, his third and fourth here. You got Bogdansky and Bayless. Those two have a shot right now, depending on how things play out. But, yeah, you're right. All eyes are on the top 2 as far as the points go.
But those points can shuffle in a matter of moments. We've seen it happen before. I'm sure we'll see it happen again. And we are getting set for some great racing action here at the Elko Speedway. But with that being said, we've got 100 laps to come. We best bring you straight to the action. It's the One-Up Modified Motor Tour from the Elko Speedway, and the green flag getting set to get this great race underway. And it's coming in a matter of moments, so stay tuned. You don't want to miss it. The line comes at you pretty fast here at Elko. We're already rolling to the green flag. Van Heerden and James gets us underway, and it looks as though the 98 is going to get a good launch into the first turn, and he should be able to clear the 49 down the back straightaway and into turn 3. The laps go by really fast here, and we're already approaching the end of the first lap, and Van Heerden is clear of the 49. He leads by about half a second.
Yeah, that's what you want, especially when you don't know if, like we talked about with like Blevins, Bogdansky, and some of the others who are actually in the thick of the points battle, who are trying to come from the back or the middle of the pack. And as we see, it's a little bit hectic toward the back of the pack of that area.
Yeah, pick your favorite driver at this point. Looking at Nicolas Santiago right now, he's already made up about 3 places in the opening few laps. He's up to about 19th, 18th position right now, working on the 64 and the 84, trying to gain a few more spots there. But he's still got a lot of work to do, but he's making good headway as of this moment, with Ashton Blevins, his teammate, already in the top 10. But look at this, Chase James in the 49. He's already closed the gap back down to Van Heerden. The 49 is going to try and make a move for the lead, possibly within the next few laps.
Yeah, you got to watch out for, like I said, the hard charge. You got Blevins and Bogdansky back there trying to get this, but right now, it's all Van Heerden.
Yeah, he's led all 5 laps so far. This is already the most laps he has led in a one-up event. The last time he started on pole, he only led the first 2 laps before fading later in the race. So we'll see if this is any better for him, as Colby Bogdansky currently holds the fastest lap of the race back in 7th. But I'm sure that's going to change a lot over the course of this race, because we don't expect to see any pit stops. We never really do here in the Modifieds. But we still expect to see some great racing action this entire time. And look no further than right here. Victor Reyes trying to get around Jack Davis for 3rd place.
Yeah, got a little bit of work to do, because there's a car length and a half, maybe 2 between them. But, each one of these drivers has shown determination. I've noticed that this is an opportunity for them to be able to show that they belong in, not just in one-up competition, but eventually in one of the bigger rides, trucks, the nitro cars, and eventually Superstar. But for right now, they're cutting their teeth on these courses and showing what they've got.
And it's not going to take them very long. We're only on lap 11, and the leader's on the same straightaway as the last place car. We're going to get lap traffic any lap now, and we're only just starting lap 12. But going back to what you said about getting higher rides elsewhere, Van Heerden, our leader, is in a big battle right now with Nicolas Santiago to score a Fingai Saitomi truck ride, because whoever places higher in the points among those two is going to get the call from the boss man, Jeffrey Fingai, to fill a truck seat. So that is a huge deal for these guys, and Van Heerden is making the most of it, trying to claw back as much of the points deficit to Santiago as he could, because as we're looking at the points right now, he entered about 25 points behind.
Yeah, that's going to be a challenge. That's going to be a challenge, and he's got to really come up from that deficit. He's one of those we looked at in the pre-race, whether we mentioned it or not, I don't recall, but he's got a lot to work on, and a win would certainly put him back in the hunt in a big way as he deals with lap traffic.
And so is Chase James and Jack Davis. Of course, that's Krastev in the 44, Chase James' teammate, that he's trying to work around right now, as well as the 5 of Foster Salyers. But right now, James has cleared the 44. He's going to try and clear the 5 next. But the longer he sits behind these lap cars, the more of a chance Van Heerden has to pull a gap.
And that's exactly what you don't want when you're trying to go for the lead. Doesn't matter what series it's in. We've seen it in all 4. If you let the leader get away from you, if they're able to get through lap traffic quicker than you, especially late in the going over race, you might as well kiss checkered flag goodbye.
But meanwhile, Jack Davis has made a good run on Chase James to move himself up into 2nd place. We've seen what this 45 can do earlier this season. I believe he got a win. Yeah, I don't know if you saw it like I did, but man, that 27 had a bit of a slide, and he's lucky to hang on to that thing. But he is still hounding Chase James to move up into 3rd. Great recovery.
And right back there behind you, you got, I'm probably going to butcher this, and I apologize in advance, Elias Birchie, I believe that's right.
Yeah.
Running right there at 5th place in the number 11 car. That's Aztec Motorsports there getting good reputation, top 5.
And I believe he's got a date with the Turbo Truck Series in 2026, so good on him for making the most of his opportunity down here. But for right now, we're looking throughout the top 10. Ashton Blevins has already made his way up to 8th place, and Nicolas Santiago is already up into about 13th. So both the Phantom Fury cars making decent headway in this race. We're already approaching the 1/4 distance mark in this race. The laps really fly by here, and there's only 100 of them. So there's not a lot of opportunities for these guys to make ground up, especially for Jack Davis, who's already about 1.5 seconds off the lead. He's got to get a move on.
Yeah, that lap traffic really played to Van Heerden's benefit here. And right now he's got a bit of breathing room, both as far as lap traffic and as far as competition. But all it'll take is one wrong move from someone ahead of him that he's trying to put a lap down, and he'll have 2nd place in the 45 right there on it.
Even though the gap is now 2 seconds between the 98 and the 45, you're right. One wrong move can catch Davis, Reyes, James. They can all get caught up in a big hurry if the 98 dawdles too much. But he's already built a lead up of about 2.2 seconds as Reyes now tries to duck underneath the 45 of Davis to try and make it a 1-2 for his race team.
And, that's really big for that. I mean, especially because we saw that save he had several laps ago. But Reyes being able to do what he's doing, that's definitely something that he wants. As we see back there again, 11 trying to get by the 49. We saw the ticker going back and forth between the two for a couple laps earlier.
Yeah, there's a lot of positions shuffling around at the moment, just not for the lead because Van Heerden has built a near. It was 3.5 seconds. Now it's down to 2.5. Jack Davis starting to pick up a little bit of time. I was going to say the lead's gotten quite big, but it's gone down by quite a bit on that lap. So we'll see what Davis is able to take out on this lap. He cut another 0.2 out. I'm starting to wonder if that 98 is dealing with a bit heavier lap traffic and the 45 is making the most of it.
It'd be a good possibility here as we take a look at the rest. Take the rest of the top 10 in the scoring here. Blevins, he is right up there to 7th, right behind. Well, not literally right behind, like almost 3 seconds behind Bogdansky on track, but he's gained some spots, and that's gonna soften the blow if there is to be any points lost today for him.
Yeah, this is the kind of run that Blevins just has every race. It's a championship caliber drive where he's able to make the most of a bad start and capitalize on it. He's finished 2nd the last time he qualified in 11th place. He's currently in 7th, and Santiago is already up to 12th place. And for Santiago, that's important for his keep up his record of finishing in the top 10 at every race this season.
Yeah, that's something you want to be able to keep hold of. If you can keep a hold of a record like that, it's always something to be proud of, no matter where you finish at the point.
And for Santiago, that is currently 2nd in the championship behind his teammate Blevins. But the way Van Heerden has been racing today, I would expect that gap between those two to get absolutely slashed by the end of this race. So it wouldn't surprise me to see that gap get a lot smaller and for that battle for that truck ride get oh so important as we get into the final few races of the season.
Yeah, that's the other thing that you've touched on it already. Some of these drivers here, there are bigger rides on the line. Some people don't want to stick around in the modifieds for more than 1 year. I know it was the same thing. I go to my own experience when the Truck Series was first started a few years back. I only went, if I recall correctly, one season, and it didn't turn out the greatest at first, but that's not to say that things won't turn out great for some of these drivers, and I really wish them the best regardless.
Because look at this, we almost had a 3-wide situation there between lap traffic. Whoa! Salyers and Hovik nearly touching wheels there through 3 and 4. That could have been disastrous, but they keep it under them. An excellent job for them as far as car control goes. But now that allows Jack Davis to try and slip to the outside. As I've noticed, we've got a multi-groove racetrack forming. You can make moves on both the inside and the outside, which is exactly what we want to see. We want to see these guys searching for the right line that suits their car.
Yeah, and you talk about the 41. You want to talk about the tale of the two cars on the same team. You got the 41 Aztec Motorsports there, not doing the greatest. Meanwhile, the 11 lost a spot, but still holding steady in the top 10. That just goes to show that just because you're on the same team doesn't always mean you're going to have the same results as your teammate.
No, but I would expect Hovik to get better over the course of maybe a second season in this series in 2026. But for Van Heerden, he's having a difficult time trying to find his way past the 41, and that's allowed Jack Davis to close into 0.8 of a second of the race leader. This is the closest.
Finally clears him.
This is the closest the lead has been in a very long time. As Reyes now dives back underneath the 45 to try and get second back.
Yeah, these two. We've seen, like I keep bringing up the other 3 series, but we've seen it time and again at certain tracks. Excuse me. If you get 2 drivers fighting for position too much, which right now obviously we're not seeing that, you can lose positions, but it's really a tough time sometimes when you get stuck on the outside, depending on if it's multi-groove or a low line, high line. if you're in the unfavorable groove, you might be in trouble.
And I'm starting to think Jack Davis is in a bit of trouble. He's lost 2 spots in the space of about 3 laps to Victor Reyes and Chase James. And Reyes has now made it once again a 1-2 running order for his race team. And he's closed the gap down to about 1.2 seconds now. He's pulled a gap back to the 49, and things are looking good for the Reyes team, who have yet to win a race. They've yet to score a good result for this 27 car that much, but I would expect this to be a big day for this race team regardless of what happens.
Oh, absolutely. And, you got to talk about Jack Davis losing spots. Right now he's got some breathing room, but you might want to watch out because if he loses too many more spots, he might find himself outside the top 5.
Yeah, Bogdansky and Bergy, they're on the way for sure. But Van Heerden, he's found a little pocket to kind of ride in at the moment. He's tucked in ahead of the 41, behind the 83, and I think at this point he's just comfortable to hang out here, click off a bunch of laps, maybe try and pass the 83 a little later if Dallas Miller uses some of his stuff up trying to stay ahead. But at this point, I think he's just comfortable to ride out and run out the laps.
And that's about all you can do right now, especially when it becomes more and more clear that winning this race is less and less likely at this point, because Van Heerden, he's just been putting on a clinic. He's already clinched most laps led. He's led them all so far, and that's really all he wants. But it's not over until the checkered flag waves. We know that for sure.
And those are all bonus points that he is accumulating, and he needs those to try and close the gap back to Nicolas Santiago, who's actually cracked the top 10 now that I'm looking at it. He's up to 9th place. He's set 7.5 seconds off the lead, but he's up into the top 10, where I'm sure he'd love to finish for a great recovery drive. But for Van Heerden, we expected him to win a race this season, but we might not have expected it to come here. We might have expected it perhaps more at the next race at Lime Rock Park, the road course. He's excellent on those, but he's learning his stuff on the short ovals, and he is doing a fantastic job. He could get this win early.
Yeah, that's something that he really needs. We've talked about it. He's not completely out of the points discussion for the championship, but he also, a win will definitely put him back in the picture. It would probably help him leapfrog someone like maybe Bayless or Bogdansky, maybe both of them, and put him better in a better position, especially with where Blevins is running right now.
And keep in mind as well, for Santiago, he's all he has to do is place ahead of Van Heerden in the points. Doesn't matter by how much. He's going to get the call if he gets a higher position in the standings, whether it be second, whether it be 22nd. It doesn't really matter. But for right now, he's content to ride in 9th place right now, trying to close in on Seth Bayless for 8th. But the way Van Heerden has absolutely dominated this race, it would not surprise me to see that gap get absolutely cut down.
Yeah, this is all we've been talking. Most of this race, we've been bringing it up. And it's going to be a bigger discussion as we get to the remaining 5 races after today. Because, as I've said, there are drivers looking for rides. There are drivers that have already said, okay, sign me for a second season. I'm not satisfied with where we're at, even if we're doing good. So, it's really good to see what it's coming down to. Especially now that you don't just have the points battle, you have silly season thrown in the mix that might influence some people's motivation.
And meanwhile, this battle for second continues to rage on between Jack Davis and Victor Reyes, right behind the battle between teammates at the Bedard team, Salyers and Hiller, to try and get as high a position as they can while 1 lap down. But meanwhile, Van Heerden, we haven't seen him for a little while, but he's still been here. He's led this race throughout, and now he's finally putting a move on Dallas Miller in this 83 to put him a lap down.
And I imagine if he can get by Miller, he'd probably be able to finally get. Okay, I spoke too soon. That 41 Hovik, he may be a lap down, but he's proven that if he were on the lead lap and he were in second, he would definitely be making Van Heerden earn this. And
keep in mind as well, for Wayne Hovick, that pass is important because if a caution comes out, that would be for the free pass position. So I know this feels pretty strung out at the moment, but on the off chance we do get a caution, that could very well be his opportunity. As Reyes starting to slip down the order a little bit. He's lost second, he's lost third and fourth, and he might be in danger of losing fifth place to the 11.
And that tells me that 27 is fading a little bit. And you're right, talk about and of course, if the 11 gets by, it might be a second gap between the 11 and the 56, but Blevins is there. Something's working.
He's certainly putting that car to work, that is for sure. But we're into the final 30 laps now. Van Heerden has led all 70 laps. This is the most laps, obviously, that he has led in a race up to this point. He'd only led 2 laps before tonight. But Van Heerden doing a phenomenal job given the circumstances. And if he can win this race here tonight, imagine the momentum he'll carry to his best track at Lime Rock Park. That is going to be a very scary thought for everyone else.
Yeah, because if he can win here and if he can put on a good show at Lime Rock, oh boy, especially if he's able to outperform Blevins and Santiago again, those two better start sweating.
And because this is not where we expected this 98 to have his coming out party. He's already got a 2.5 second lead. We'll see if that gets any bigger. It's kind of stabilized at the moment. But I think Van Heerden, he knows he's got the car good to win this race. He just cannot afford to make any mistakes. And right now, he's perfectly content to just ride where he is and hope that these laps go by as quickly as humanly possible.
Oh, absolutely. And I mentioned about how he might get by Bayless and Bogdansky, which I have no doubt he's going to leapfrog them. But they're all going to have a chance to close up a little bit. All three of them are going to have a chance to close up on Blevins a little bit and keep themselves in the championship picture for at least the time being. So this is going to be a pretty big day for them, but it's really going to be a huge day here, and perhaps maybe another 20 laps for Van Heerden.
Meanwhile, Chase James, he started this race in second. He's trying to get that spot back again from Jack Davis. The lead has skyrocketed up to 4.2 seconds between Van Heerden and this battle right here. Matter of fact, we've got pretty much second through about 8th place at the moment, all under a blanket trying to battle for the remaining places on the podium. This is an incredible battle, that one that Chase James might be trying to bet to win here. And Reyes now getting back underneath Bogdansky. He's not done yet.
Don't look now. There's that 56. He got by the 11. He got by Bearshee. So, and now he's going after Bogdansky. He's really putting on a late race charge to try to limit the damage as much as possible here.
Absolutely, because this is the kind of performance we expect to see out of Ashton Blevins. He might not have the best qualifying effort, but he always shows up when it matters most. And we're within the final 20 laps now. This is the time when Blevins really needs to go, because he sees that blue 49 out there. That is second place. He's not that far down the road. If he can get by these guys in a relatively quick fashion, second place is not out of the question.
Yeah, but Bogdansky's holding him up right now. Colby got up there pretty good and was putting on a good fight. He's not wanting to give that spot up easy as the 41 continues to haunt Van Heerden.
Well, that's actually the 64 who's going a lap down now. They're painted very similarly.
Similarly. That's my bad.
But, yeah, the 64 goes a lap down to Van Heerden. Next one up for him is the 75 of Archer Shriak. So, the lead has gone down again. It's now just 3.4 seconds. But look at this battling we've got going on here. We've got, like I said, we've got pretty much from third place down to about 9th place in a big fight right now. So any one of those drivers could find themselves on the podium. Even Nicolas Santiago, who's caught himself back up, and he started this race, remember, all the way down in 21st.
And you see right now the battle ahead of the 54 and the 44. Bayless, Bogdansky, they're right there, a point apart from each other coming into this race. That's not just a battle for points, for race. That's a battle for who's going to be closer to Blevins at the end of this race, if it's even possible with him having passed.
Yeah, and he's not done yet. He's trying to go after Reyes for 4th spot, too. But Chase James is starting to close the gap down a little bit. It's down to 2.8 seconds. We'll see if he's able to close any further in the remaining 10 laps of this race. It's really flown by here at Elko. These laps go by really fast. It's not the shortest track we go to all year. We still have a date with Flat Rock Speedway at a quarter-mile up in Michigan. That's going to be our shortest race track of the year. But this is definitely second on the list, and the laps go by pretty quick, as you can tell, because we already have about 9 laps to go.
Yeah, and at this rate, I dare say it, with so little laps to go and how fast they click off, our race leader and potential winner, our the dominator of this event, is likely looking at the chance to be the new 3rd place driver, no matter how close or far away from the leader he is.
Yeah, he's just putting on a show for these Elko fans. They love what they're seeing right now. Even if we haven't had a pass for the lead all day, we have had plenty of passes elsewhere in the top 10 for position, and that is still very good news for this series. It shows we're putting together a package that can race competitively with each other, and that is all the better for it. So we now have 6 laps to go. Van Heerden's caught a lot of lap traffic, but his main challenger is 3.6 seconds down the road.
And that's the cushion he's looking for. He doesn't need to push too hard to get by this lap traffic. As you see, the 28 is giving him a little bit of a break here, but it's one of those things where we've seen it time and again in one-up competition. You get a leader with a big lead. They get into some lap traffic. If they've got a big enough lead, they can take it easy if they really want to. I honestly would say, don't take it too easy, Van Heerden, but don't take it too hard either.
Yeah, he's already getting underneath the 28. That's Brian Laughlin, but he only has about 2.5 laps to go at this point. So he can just kind of cruise at the rate he's going now. Obviously, he'd like to finish with a flourish, but he doesn't really need to at the moment. We only have 2 to go.
Yeah, 2 to go, and then that'll be it for the books. As he's like I said, he's not being too harsh on the lap traffic, but he's also not taking it light. White flag.
So 1 lap to go for Christian Van Heerden. This is a win we knew was going to come. I just didn't expect it to come here. Nobody's going to be safe from not hearing the Dutch national anthem this week. Out of turn 4, final time, Van Heerden gets the job done. First career win, and he is going to savor this one, especially with Lime Rock still to come.
Big congratulations to Christian Van Heerden. That he put on he just put on a clinic. He just showed that he not only does he belong in one-up competition, but he deserves whatever better comes for him eventually.
Jack Davis actually got past Chase James for 2nd place. A lot of people actually passed the 49 late. He slid all the way back to 8th place at the end. Wonder what happened to that 49. But that allows Victor Reyes to claim his first podium in one-up competition. Ashton Blevins, a very solid recovery from him from 11th to 4th. And Elias Bershey completes the top 5. Davis also has the fastest lap of the race for good measure. Santiago keeps up his record of finishing in the top 10 in every race this season with a 9th place result. But he is going to lose a lot of points to that 98, and this battle for that truck ride is going to heat up in a big way, I feel.
Oh, absolutely. And, I gotta definitely give a big kudos to Bogdansky and Berici there, driving for teams aligned with mine. Those are good results, and I know that their bosses are going to be happy with that, as is Van Heerden's boss.
Absolutely, but that is going to do it for us from Elko Speedway, from James Ellison, and from myself as well. We're going to take a month break from the Modifieds, but we'll be back in mid-August for, as we mentioned, our only road course race in the Modified season this year at Lime Rock Park in Lakeville, Connecticut. That is going to be a lot of fun. We know how great of a great races that place puts on. So we're looking forward to seeing you guys out in Lime Rock. But until we see you there, so long from Elko, and a big congratulations to Christian van Heerden. First career win for the Dutchman. If he can win here, imagine the thrashing he could put on the field next time out.